Beck Lane, and this is Catalyst and Company. Catalyst and Company, we're a catalyst in each other's lives as well as our own, and we work towards becoming the artists we've always wanted to be. I forgot. I'm so tired right now. I just woke up from a nap. I didn't want to take a nap, and I took a nap. Okay, beside me over here on the wall is half of the mural painting that I started. As we saw the other day, or in several different videos, I did a smaller version. Maybe I should go get that. I'll go get that. And here it is. I put it in the other room, in my little drawing / storage room, because I didn't want to look at it again. But now we're going to look at it again. Oh, and we're doing Studio Mate in another state in a minute. That's where I work and you work, side by side. Unlike a traditional studio mate, I don't make a mess on your side of the studio, and I don't owe you rent. So, here's the thing: we were working towards this mural. That number one, when we originally talked about it, as the project was presented to me, and as I understood, the wall was mine. So I just had to come up with a mural. Then I found out a couple days later that there were two other people that are submitting work for it. So, I went on YouTube and I was like, oh my God, the job is, I've got this mural, and I went on Facebook too. I've got this, and Patreon. I went on, I've got this mural, I've got this wall, I'm so excited, I can't wait to do it. Then I found out that there were other people that had been asked to submit. And I went, okay, okie dokie. But we swallowed it, and I went ahead and started translating this little black and white photograph that I've alluded to many times. This grainy, very black, very white photograph from a newspaper that apparently was a photograph that was printed in a newspaper or something in a publication, and it's really hard to see because there are no details in it. It's just really stark white, really stark black, and very little gray in between. But I was able to decipher facial features because that's what I do. I only paint from black and white photographs, and they're usually tiny and old. So we went ahead and we did this. This was like the first iteration. You can't even see the whole thing. Oh God, it's gonna rain, so my body is just sleepy, very sleepy. So I went ahead and did this in oils. Now for the mural, I can't do it in oils, and it had to be bigger, and I have so many things to figure out before I can actually go to a wall and do the work, that I went ahead and took the two figures and transferred them through using a doodle grid. Instead of a grid, I made a doodle grid. And I'm sorry I didn't do it on camera as I said I would. I just wanted to get it done and not have to think. So I took the figures and I transferred them to two canvases that were stacked on top of each other, totaling 8 foot by 5 foot. You guys helped me do the math so we could shrink it down and it would be almost the same dimensions as the wall. Thank you so much for all your help in figuring that out. Started that, actually spent 2 days not on YouTube, not doing painting live, which I thought I would, but then I just got going and I kept doing it. I spent 2 solid days painting, and I almost got it done for day 3. Let me put this guy away now. Day 3, I almost had it done. I still had, so here's the upper half of the painting, and I still had, okay, just hang there. I still had to figure out their faces because they're not right. They're not quite right. And I still have a lot of the finial work on the bottom, all those crazy doodads that I do in my paintings, all the swirly bits and things. I cut stencils, I applied them, blah bitty blah. Was gonna finish them yesterday afternoon, and then I found out that then I found out they don't want this figure in the painting. So let's review. I have done the first painting using a grainy photograph, transferred the images, did this, which is much bigger, and then found out we don't want the second figure. So yesterday, I spent most of yesterday stomping around like Spanky or Alfalfa from the Little Rascals. I was just like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Because number one, it's not just I've put in my time, which when you're doing a mural, unless you're famous and you have money and they've actually, handed you a contract up front, we want you to do this blah blah blah, you don't get reimbursed for the materials or your time. You don't see any money until somebody says, yes, it is yours. And then there's contracts, etc. And as I understand, it can take several months to get there. Now, on normal painting commissions, I get 50%. Whoever is me or whoever is handling it, we get a 50% non-refundable deposit. Whether it's the galleries or a rep, when we're doing a commission, we get 50% down, non-refundable, end of story. When you're doing a mural and you're not well known, you get zippity-doo-dah day, and you have to paste the entire project together as best you can, and keep your fingers crossed that they go yes. So that's fun. But lucky for me, here, now we can see it, the top half of it anyway. Lucky for me, I went online and people said, we had 4 different people who said, yes, I'll help support you. And I'm so grateful. But yesterday I was really down and embarrassed. And I'm thinking, how do I tell people I used the money to do the work and now I have to do the work again? And I don't have more canvases. I don't have different supplies that I need. So I went to bed yesterday after, frazzing and kicking the sand all day. And I woke up this morning and thought, oh, wait a minute. The 2 canvases that you used up I painted in acrylic, aerosol and acrylic. And I don't normally paint in acrylic. But because they are painted in acrylic, I can cover them with gesso. And I did not spend all of the money that you sent to help support the project, to help me, get this job that was mine, and then all of a sudden it was something else. It's driving me nuts. But I want the job because I want to get the job because it's painting a mural, and it's something I've wanted to do for a very long time. Outdoor mural is something I wanted to do for a long time. And luckily I didn't spend all the money, so I did get more acrylic and I got gesso. And I'm going to cover the canvases, and then we'll just start again. Only this time I have to figure out how I'm going to represent Emma E. Booker without this center figure or any really good photographs of her. Oh joy. But I went and got went and got a little bucket of gesso, and we're just going to get to work and keep moving forward. I've been talking to my neighbor, whose husband is an artist, and she was like, "Oh no, 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 no! You're not doing any more work until you get paid for the work that you've done." And I'm like, that's what this is. Trying to think of any other profession where you just don't make any money until you've done all the work, and maybe sort of somebody might think about hiring you. And this is a profession. This is a real job. Unless you're, a weekend painter. So say goodbye to Emma, say goodbye to her friend, and we're going to start all over again. As I said, I was really bummed out because I was like, oh my God, it's almost done. It's not perfect. But I had also written the organizers and asked them if I could please be given the leeway to change colors or change design a little bit once we get there. And I got a vague answer to that, and so we're just going to start all over again, because honestly, I wasn't even very happy with it. It's not what I wanted it to be. It's not as colorful. And so I'm kind of looking at the fact that we don't know what Emma looks like, really. We've only got this one dark photograph of her in a very white dress. I'm looking at this as an opportunity to actually make a better design. This took me forever. The compasses. I thought of the compasses and I was like, oh, that's what I want in there, are compasses where with Emma's initials in it. But that took forever because it was so many layers before I figured out the color scheme. But again, I'm looking at this as an opportunity to produce something that I'm really proud of. And I've had a number of friends who said, oh, you can do this on an iPad if you own this program and stuff. I don't own any programs. I don't own Photoshop. I don't anymore. I don't have any of that. So we're going to have to do it old school. I have to do it the traditional way. And luckily, while I was cleaning up yesterday in my anguish and fury, I found a whole box of sponge brushes that I'd forgotten I bought. That was pretty nice. I'm not keen on losing all the texture that we have in the canvas because that helps, the sound helps me to think. But we're just going to cover up the image and I have another idea that I want to use. Now, as I mentioned last video or something or other, when we were talking about Emma's face and how hard it is to see it on the in the photograph, I talked to a friend of mine who said, "Oh, you know what? That face reminds me of." My neighbors are outside arguing. My neighbor's being like, Zora Neale Hurston. Zora Neale Hurston was a writer, an early 20th century writer. She was famous for about 5 minutes. Then she was accused of something she didn't do, and by a neighbor. She was sent to jail, and the public turned against her, And they hated her even after it was proved that she wasn't in the country when she supposedly committed this heinous act that she did not commit. So Zora Neale Hurston wrote several books, but by the time, I guess she had recovered from this whole ordeal that she was put through. Her books weren't even in print. She really had a very difficult life as a writer and as an artist. And I've known about Zora for several years thanks to Alice Walker. And Alice Walker learned about her through happenstance and wrote about her in Zora's books. And helped her get into print again. Of course, Zora is gone now, and she died in obscurity and broke. And it's really just another tragic story of another artist in America, blah bitty blah. But my friend said, wow, that Emma Booker looks like Zora Neale Hurston. So I was reviewing some photographs of Zora Neale Hurston yesterday, and I found one where she's in almost the exact same lighting as Emma Booker in the photograph, the only photograph we have of her. And in this one photograph of Zora, she's in the same stance. She's in the same lighting. She's in almost the same lighting. She's in almost the same stance. She's a solo figure. She's not leaning on anyone like Emma Booker was. She's on her own. So I really think I'm going to use that for the figure. They're wearing almost the same dress, except Zora was a lot tinier than our Emma Booker. I have an idea of what I want to do for the rest of it. It'll be totally different than what I was doing here. I wish I had a regular brush. That would be so nice. But I have these little sponge brushes. So I was talking to my neighbor and I'm like, how do I tell people I spent all their money doing a project, doing it twice, I've used everything up, or almost everything up, and now they've completely changed how they want it done, what they want presented. I was so upset yesterday. But like I said, I didn't spend all the money. I held a nice piece of it behind, and I'm glad I did. But I don't have enough to buy new canvases or to rent a car to go pick up, which I would need to do. If I were to get 2 more of these canvases, I would have to rent a car or pay somebody to drive me to go get these new canvases. And it's just like, can we just stop having difficulties already? I don't mind a little bit, it's just all the time is exhausting. Okay, I've got one light coat of gesso on. underneath too, that should add a little bit of texture. And I know that this wall is going to have a dust, it's like a mild pebbly texture to it. I'm trying to keep that in mind while I'm painting too, that it won't be totally smooth. All right, there's the one half. Now we'll get the other half done. Ooh, hi. Creepies up there. Yeah, I'm talking to my neighbor, and then I was talking to another friend about this, and all they could say is, not again. And I'm like, yeah. Yep. Not again. Yep. Yeah, there's another compass. I incorporated 3 different compasses for the 3 schools that are named after Emma Booker. They're called just Booker schools. Yeah, the 3 compasses with EB, Emma Booker, instead of east-west, it's EB. The bottom of the arrow on the compass is actually one of my tattoos. And then this is a design from something or other that I have. In the center, we've got the passion fruit that was up in the leaves, and then the butterflies representing the students that are in her friend's skirt, and then up in the sky. And then there's the little doodads I was going to finish up yesterday. I was pretty happy with these shoes, too. But it's okay, I can paint it all again, just differently and better and what they want. So I'm just putting on a thin layer so I make sure it adheres to the to the paint that's underneath, the aerosol and acrylic. I don't have to worry about this withstanding the test of time. It's basically a sketch for a submission, so this isn't going to be hanging in anybody's home. I bought a lot of gesso. I didn't need a big tub of gesso. Apparently. And I was reading about Emma Booker today too, and about her students on another website. And apparently, when she was renting out spaces for her students as temporary schoolrooms before she raised $15,000 to open a school, an actual school. Or have the building built, and then she could open a real school for them. They used to use orange crates for desks and chairs. Here I am bitching and complaining about this, and I'm doing an image of a woman who spent 20 years earning her bachelor's degree. And teaching her kids with secondhand used torn up books from the leftovers from the white schools in Sarasota. Well, they use orange crates as furniture. Makes me feel very small, but it's also part of the reason I want the project so badly. Because of her determination. Actually, I thought about using orange blossoms. Well, that's another idea. I thought about using orange blossoms in the design, in the painting. And then I ditched it because it's so hokey. But with the idea of she and her students using orange crates for furniture, for schoolroom furniture, because that's all Sarasota had for it. You know, that's all they could get in the town of Sarasota. That actually makes it more interesting. It gives the state fruit and state blossom some meaning. Actually, that's brought on whole new ideas. Oh, I'm glad I mentioned it to you. So I'll get something else to think about. Be right back. Now that I've mentioned the orange crates to you, I'm like, oh, now I have, now I have slightly more context, than just painting this figure, this dark figure, and trying to figure out how to make an image that doesn't exist of a woman who did exist, believable. Oh, and Michael's is having a canvas sale. Buy one, get two free. It's online only. I think it's just today. Today is Wednesday. They do not have any large canvases. Surprise! And they don't ship the large canvases anyway. Surprise! But I think in the stores I think for the stores there's another sale, but online anyway, you buy one, you get 2 free. Just not in, good sizes, really good sizes. The sizes I use, let's put it that way. Surprise! Last night I had visions of me trying to, taking the canvas off of these and stretching them with new canvas, and it's just like not something I can physically do anymore. But I was like, you'll get through it, you can get it done, and you'll just do it, it'll be fine. If you can find the canvas in Sarasota somewhere, you can re-stretch these. But luckily, gesso. One of my neighbor's family was looking at my artwork the other day. They're visiting from Colombia. And, actually, she's moving here. The sister that was talking to me. And she said, I hate it when people say this. Listen to me today. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. But she said, don't you hate selling your paintings? You're giving away your babies, and that's a thing that drives me up a tree. Because I said, no, I make them to sell them because I like paying rent. No, I don't want to keep them forever. I don't want to look at them all the time. I want them to go away and have a life of their own, like normal children. I want to look at them in photographs and go, well, that was nice. Glad it found a home. The other pet peeve phrase of mine is, it'll be great exposure. That means we don't want to pay you. I'll translate for you. When somebody says, it'll be great exposure, it means we don't want to pay you, and even if we do, we don't want to pay you much at all. And we don't think very much of you too. I know that that's an added layer to it'll be great exposure. Because usually it's in a place or for a thing that means very little exposure. Okay, I'll let this dry a little bit. Actually, it'll be great exposure translates to, we see you as an amateur. And you won't know, you don't mind not getting paid, and you don't know the difference. It'll be great exposure. This is almost dry. No, great exposure is having a piece in the Tate or MoMA. Or having a gigantic mural wall with your name printed in 4-foot letters across it. probably hear there's a thunderstorm. There's another thunderstorm rolling in. We've had some pretty terrific rainstorms. This will cover the whole thing. So the other opportunity I have is to not only gesso this, but cover this with gesso and make kind of a, it's almost like a sandy gray effect, which is what the wall has. The wall is this very odd color, like a sandy gray. I bought a gallon bucket of gesso because I thought that's what I needed. I have used roughly 3/4 of an inch of that gallon. And we'll have it for the future. I have to stop complaining and just do the thing. What I might do though is put an additive on top. Now I guess it won't matter. I want to show you something really quick. Okay, Kate. Thank you. So as you can see here, I just want to give you a helpful hint instead of just bitching. Surprise. As you can see, this is the goo I use in my hair. It's Old Spice Putty. You're welcome. Does a fantastic job, as you can see. I'm getting my hair cut tomorrow, by the way. But I hang on to these. And I oftentimes think when I'm putting little plastic containers in the section of my pantry with the plastic containers in it, somebody's going to call me a hoarder one of these days and tell me I don't need them. I don't have that many, but I do tend to keep little plastic containers for things like this. This little hair goo thing is designed, it's airtight. I realized, so I put, okay, these little hair goo things are airtight. And so what I've been doing is putting acrylic paint in here, and then putting a retarder, Liquitex I think it is, makes a retarder. Go grab it. And that is the actual name. Alright, it's somewhere. Oh, I'm going to go get it and show you because it's really helpful. If I can figure out where I put it. There are a couple of different products by different acrylic paint companies that help, that allow acrylic, or keep acrylic from drying right away. I showed you one last week. I can't remember what it was, but I showed you one last week. And the one I bought today, I decided the one I bought last week, it was some type of a slowing agent that I've used in silkscreen printing. But then I was, when I was in Michael's earlier, and I was yesterday or something, I was picking up acrylic paints. Oh my God, it's gonna rain. I can feel it. I found this by Golden. It's retarder. Retarder means it just slows down the drying process. It can thin the paint out and slow down the drying process. And it's another product I've used in silk screening, and I love the way it works. I love the way it allows the paint to kind of suspend, and I get to think about it for a couple of minutes instead of, using water. You apply acrylic paint, and I don't like the effects, and it dries right away. So there we are. I bought some of that. But whether you're using the medium that I talked about last week that I don't remember what it was, or the retarder, what you can do, or what I've done, is I've put some acrylic paint in one of these little containers, or actually a couple of them, and then I've added the medium on top, and that's kept it nice and wet. None of this is dry. None of this is dry. So it's, I can use it a week from now and maybe even a couple months from now because of the retarder and the airtight seal that this has once you screw the top on. And I didn't know it would last a very long time, but I'll show you. This is acrylic paint that I added medium to as well last year. Yeah, it was last year. I almost never use acrylic paint, but look, this is from a project I did last year. Doobity-doo, scoopity-doo. So if you have acrylic paint, and you want to make sure that it doesn't dry out, this is what I would suggest. Get hair glue, empty it out, and put your paint in it with a retarder or a type of medium. Or a slowing agent is what I mean. So I was looking at this gesso and thinking maybe I'll pour some of the medium on top just to make sure I don't end up with dried out medium gesso. Because now I have a gallon of it. Yeah, yesterday I was really in a panic after getting this message yesterday afternoon after, almost completing 2 paintings of those 2 figures, saying they only wanted 1 figure. I was in a total panic. I'm like, what do I tell people who honestly and truly believe in me and want me to get ahead? They really believe in the artwork and they want to help get it ahead, and they're being so kind and empathetic. What do I tell these people? Guess what? It happened again. Guess what? You've now invested in my life. And it's going the way it normally does. Boopity boop. My neighbor's family are so funny. They're up front, making a ruckus. Anyway, I had to sit and realize I wasn't told no. I wasn't told I wasn't getting the mural. I just have to figure it out again. And we will figure it out. We will figure it out. We always do. What's one of our rules? It's all fixable. None of it matters, and it's all fixable. It's two of our rules. Oh, and the third one is there are no rules. So we're going to stick to my 3 rules. There are no rules, it's all fixable, and something. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you something funny though. While I was having my spanky / alfalfa moment and kicking sand and muttering under my breath and playing wood Sudoku, I thought, you know what? If there were a soundtrack to your life, it would involve a trombone and it would go wham, wham, wham. That would be the soundtrack. This is not that bad. This is an opportunity to get it right. This isn't somebody taking your artwork and violating a contract and stealing your artwork on an international level, which has happened to me. This is just, you gotta figure out how to redo it, that's all. Just gotta figure out how to redo it. And we did. With a gallon of gesso. Ugh. And a sponge brush. And Brian, if you see this, I haven't forgotten about you. I really was like head down, keep painting. And Karen and Susan, my neighbor and her family may be going to Tampa, and if they do, I'm going to order the paint that I want, the aerosols that I really want, and they'll be picking them up for me. I looked into having everything shipped. I can have everything shipped. The aerosols I want and kind of need can be shipped for free, and it could, for free, shipping is anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks. And the store is an hour and a half, I think, away, an hour away. Wham, wham, wham. To get fast shipping is, I think, $5, big deal. And it'll take 7 to 10 days to get what I need. Wham, wham, wham. But if my neighbor goes to Tampa, it'll be same day service. So we'll see if they decide to go or not. Still working on getting to Blick. Thought about renting a car, and I was going to rent from U-Haul for to pick these canvases up. And here's a new policy: you can't rent from U-Haul anymore unless you have a credit card, which I don't have. I don't want one. I have a debit card like a normal person. I rented from U-Haul in April, and I've always rented from U-Haul for moving and picking stuff up, because honestly the U-Haul place is right up the street. I rented in April, did the show at Waterworks, brought the truck back, blah blah blah. So somewhere between April and now, in June, I am told people have been stealing U-Haul vehicles. People with debit cards have been renting U-Haul trucks, taking them out of state, and then ditching them. So it's becoming an industry, quote unquote, an industry-wide practice to only rent to people with credit cards, because as the economy has gotten worse and people have gotten more desperate to leave Florida, I guess, I don't know, this is now an issue. And I looked at the manager and I go, if you look at my history, I've rented from you guys for years and I've never stolen a vehicle, and it wouldn't even cross my mind because I don't want a vehicle. I just want to rent one. Oh, good. Ow. The apparently last thief here in Sarasota got a U-Haul pickup truck and drove it to Wisconsin, a Wisconsin Walmart, and ditched it. And she was apparently the last straw. Oh, and so the same day that I went to rent the U-Haul and found out I couldn't because I don't have a credit card and I don't want one, I went next door to an independent car rental place. This is gonna make you laugh, so I promise. Because only me. I went next door to this independent rental place, and I explained the situation, and he said, yeah, we don't take debit cards either. He said, but, and he started asking me a bunch of questions. And I said, I promise you, I don't want to steal the van. I just want to use it for like an hour or two. And he's like, oh, okay. And he started putting in my information. And then he says to me, so you have car insurance? You have auto insurance? And I go, no, because I'm driving that scooter that you just saw. No. And he said, well, you have to have auto insurance. And I said, when you rent a car, if I rented a car from you, wouldn't you provide the auto insurance since I don't own a car, an automobile or a vehicle? And he was like, he just kind of looked at me like it was the dumbest question he's ever been asked. I said, I'm sorry, but every time I've rented a car over the last 20 years, it's from people who, offer insurance in the rental. If I had auto insurance, I wouldn't want to rent a car. So anyway, it didn't come out quite as funny as it did at the counter. I made myself laugh. Insurance, that would mean I have a vehicle and I wouldn't want to rent one from you because I have one. This has got to be the most exciting studio mate session we've ever had. So you're going to look up Zora Neale Hurston. In fact, I want to look her up in Audible. I love her face. I've loved her face for a really long time, so I look forward to using her as a model. Audible is one of the few services I haven't canceled or suspended. I've canceled pretty much everything or suspended it. Amazon Prime, Netflix, anything that cost money except for Audible. And I realized it the other day when $15 went missing out of my account. I was like, oh my God. $15? What the? Okay, we have Zora Neale Hurston on Audible. Ooh! Their Eyes Were Watching God. She wrote a book. Her first book was Their Eyes Were Watching God, and it was extremely popular. And apparently it's here. And Ruby D reads it. That's exciting. Oh, I can't wait to. Okay, yay! Credit. I'm gonna listen to it. Yay! Oh my God! Ruby D is reading it. This is like, oh, this is awesome. Let's see if I can download it already. Oh, I just bought it. Yay! It's in my library. I was listening to Just As I Am by Cicely Tyson, read by a whole bunch of people, including Viola Davis. Viola Davis did the did something. She read the opening. She introduced the book and talked about her own book, her own story. I didn't really like it. I love Cicely Tyson and I understand the significance, but her book was driving me a little nutty. Not loving it. She's like 90 years old, so it was listening to a book a 90-year-old had written. Or me. So I'm going to put in my headphones so I stop talking. We can get some work done. I might be putting my headphones. Oh, if you'd like a neighbor update, by the way, my neighbor here in the house that we share, I was all bummed out a couple weeks ago because the realtor, the landlord raised her rent, and it went way out of her budget, and so she went F this and bought a house, or was in the process of buying a house, but now it's just turned into this long drawn out ordeal, and she's not sure that the house that she's got a bid on is going to be approved. She's getting umpteen calls from banks. We'll give you a loan, we'll give you a loan, we'll give you a loan. She's now hating the process, and so she won't be leaving for a while. She's just gonna pay the rent and stay my neighbor. And when she told me the other day, she's like, oh, and I won't be able to leave at the end of the month. And I went, I'm so sorry. And I looked at her dad and I went, I'm so sorry you won't be leaving here. For a while. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, yay. This is audible. All right, I'm gonna do this. You do your thing. And I hope your project is going well today. Blah, blah, blah. Studio meeting in another state. Audible. Oh, shoot. No. Alright, so I've got to wait for these to fully dry. Then I'm going to apply the paint that you just watched me mix, which is almost identical to the wall that the mural will be on. So I'm actually, the more I prep to do this next, the more I prep to do this image again and redo it, the more excited I'm becoming, because eliminating the second figure from the reference material and remembering things like the orange grades and remembering to use the color of the wall that the mural is going to be on is actually, it's going to benefit me in the end. So as upset as I was, now I'm starting to become more comfortable and happier, because I will be able to hopefully produce an image that I'm really proud of, whereas I really wasn't proud of the image that I had done, not terribly. But I'm going to let these two canvases dry, and we're going to wrap up Studio Mate in Another State. Again, I've been listening to Their Eyes Were Watching God. That's what I just started listening to. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora, Z-O-R-A, Neil, N-E-A-L, Hurston, H-U-R-S-T-O-N. Let me pull it up. And I've been listening to it on Audible. So if you look for it, this is it. And she really was, what I've heard so far of the book is absolutely extraordinary. The detail in the words, there's nothing cliche in what she's written. It really is, it's poetry, it's music, it's everything I look for in a book. You cannot predict one word to the next or one sentence to the next. Zora Neale, Neale is N-E-A-L-E. So Zora Neale, N-E-A-L-E, Hurston, H-U-R-S-T-O-N. I would strongly recommend her. And Ruby D is reading it on Audible, and it really is extraordinary. So I would suggest it. I was also listening to a Tom Papa book and one Studio Mate we did, and then Cicely Tyson's autobiography, which I love Miss Tyson, but not loving that book. Not yet, anyway. We'll see. And that's it. So we're going to wrap up. I'm Beck Lane, and let this dry. It's very humid in here. So I'm Beck Lane. This is Catalyst and Company, and we've been doing another Studio Mate in Another State, where you work in your studio, I work in mine. I don't make a mess on your side of the studio, and I don't owe you rent. So win-win all the way across the board. If you'd like to help support Catalyst and Company and help me get more paint supplies, coffee is always nice. All the links are down below, including links to Cash App, PayPal, TeePublic, where you can buy images of some of my work on t-shirts, mugs, pillows, tote bags, and Patreon, where you can help supply monthly support, and that starts as low as $5 a month. I'm sorry, I'm not very communicative on Patreon, because I'm just not. And I mean to be, I do, and then I don't. So Patreon and then something else. And if you'd like prices on work, if you've seen any work on YouTube or on my website or Instagram, Facebook, etc., and you need prices and info, the links to the information for the galleries is down below, including J. Louise at Blue Egg Gallery in Fort Lauderdale, Andrew and Mark at Chasen Galleries here in Sarasota, or Raphael Coelho up in Newark, New Jersey. All right, I'm Beck Lane. Ready, Carrie? We're going to say ciao. Ready, buddy? Ciao, ciao. Meow, meow, meow. Find the X.